All right. Hey there, y'all. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking to a friend of mine, Chris Toohey, who, full disclosure, is not a client of mine, but has been on his own weight loss slash health slash fitness journey. And I'm really excited I've been kind of following him on social media, but really excited to hear from him what changed on the inside to cause some of these changes on the outside. So, Chris, welcome and thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Lisa. My name's Chris Toohey, for those watching. I really found myself, I work in IT, so I'm paid to be sedentary. That's how I make my money. I can't be active and earn. So with that lifestyle, with the getting into craft beer, getting into indulgences as far as constantly going out and eating and living that lifestyle really took its toll. And I found myself pushing 400 pounds. I was 376, and I say 376 because the scale pretty much maxed out. I would get different weigh-ins depending on who I saw at my primary care physician, because the nurses didn't know and the staff didn't know how to put the sliders on the scale properly. So I would look like I was up 10 pounds or I was down 10 pounds, but I was essentially 400 pounds. We'll say 376 though, because that's sort of the starting point. We had a global pandemic. I had actually contracted COVID, and I was within that Venn diagram of lifestyle that you're not going to survive this. And there were times where I was laying in bed or trying to lay in bed. I had to prop myself up and I was wheezing, and this is it. I've let myself go to the point, and now something came along and legs swept me, and this is it. The other side of that was depression and anxiety. I have been suffering for years from depression and from anxiety. Didn't realize that. Had actually gone in concerned with what I thought was a heart attack. And my EKG turned out fine. It was a panic attack brought on by acute anxiety. So I was not only dealing with being morbidly obese and living a lifestyle that would not change that, to as well as dealing with the mental aspect, which was the depression, the anxiety. I was on 3 different medications for high blood pressure. My blood pressure was typically in the 170 over 110, 120. Absolutely just, I was waiting to die, quite frankly. I was just surviving one day to the next.
Yeah.
I was also pre-diabetic, which anyone that's diagnosed pre-diabetic, it's essentially your doctor saying, I can't believe you don't have diabetes, but we're going to treat you like you're going to get diabetes because that's the path that you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was considering doing gastric sleeving, gastric bypass. However, I hadn't made a push. I hadn't actually really tried anything. This story is not atypical, sadly, but after 22 years of marriage, my soon-to-be ex-wife and I decided to part ways. I think that it was a lot of contributing factors. From my perspective, my depression, my anxiety, my lifestyle, removing the back and forth from that was what I brought to the table. And quite frankly, yeah, I can't blame her because I was a dumpster fire for a good long time with all of that. So Back in late August, after my wife left, I found myself a single father of 5 children. I was not setting a good example for them. I was not going to be around for them, quite frankly. And on top of all this, I had been furloughed from my job, which was in the entertainment and hospitality industry. Hey, you have a global pandemic where no one can go outside of their house, that's going to get hit. So all of this factored in, I had hit rock bottom. And you can hit rock bottom and stay there, or you can hit rock bottom and use that as an opportunity to refire, to relaunch. And that's what I did. I'm the type of person that was always, I'll start Monday, because Monday is a starting point. There's no better starting point than rock bottom. So I went to my doctor, told her my plan. She thought I was nuts, but that's typically her reaction. So I said, okay, I'm going to go for it. I had tried fad diets in the past. I had tried keto. I was one of the Atkins dieters. I even read Penn Jillette's potato diet book. I do not recommend it because all you taste is dirt after a while. You don't want to go there.
Have you tried washing the potatoes? Side note.
Well, you're supposed to wash the potatoes, but anytime you cook them, you have to imbibe everything from the potatoes. So if you boil the potatoes, you have to drink the water.
Yeah.
And they grow in dirt and they taste like dirt. And if you're only eating the potato and not adding anything to it, oh, yeah, bad situation. So August, I want to say 3rd week of August. I started with low. I didn't know any of these terms at the time, but being a geek, give me a year and I'll get the terminology under my belt at the very least. So I started low impact interval training through walking, and I made pretty much every stupid mistake that a dieter who's hit rock bottom will make. I went into extreme caloric deficit. I decided to do a intermittent fasting based diet of 500 calories a day, right? My basal metabolic rate at the time was probably 2,400 calories based on the weight that I was carrying. 24, maybe 2,500 calories. To be in that low or that high of a calorie deficit, I was burning what muscle I had. I was constantly in an anaerobic state where I was burning muscle while burning fat. And I said, oh, wow, look, I'm making progress. If I knew then what I knew now, if I had a coach that would guide me through the process to not make the stupid mistakes that we all make, which is, well, I'm not going to eat. That's it. I'm done. I'm done eating. I'm done. I'm just going to exercise until they pick me up on the side of the road. If you do that, your body will fight you tooth and nail. Your body goes into fat storage mode. My ultimate goal, based on my research, was to take my body and make it a fat burning machine. So at 376, I started walking, messed up my diet horribly. I started seeing results, but despite myself, I was seeing results. I also started a program, and I'm actually wearing the shirt today. I don't get sponsored by them. I don't do, but I believe enough in the program that I evangelize it whenever I can. And that's DDP Yoga. DDP Yoga was founded by an attitude era wrestler, Diamond Dallas Page. He broke his back in the ring while going through rehab. His next door neighbor was a yogi and said, hey, come on over, I'll show you some moves. Him being the typical, well, 6'4", 6'5", 280, just this jacked guy who's like, I'm not doing yoga. Are you nuts? They'll never hear the end of it back in the locker room. He went over, she kicked his butt. He started to realize, maybe I've got a misconception as to what yoga can be. He took yoga, he took the rehab work that he was doing, and he added dynamic resistance training, which the best way to think about this, if you've ever seen Bruce Lee, in the movies, he doesn't do this, he does this. And even as you're doing this, you can see the engagement on the muscles. You're doing that full body. You're doing that for 45 minutes. You're going to feel it. And there's a lot of different stages they've got, from you're laying in bed and you're bedridden to I've completed the beginner, the intermediate, the advanced, and now I'm on the custom, which is you've got it from here. Just start adding whatever exercises you want. A big part of that, though, I was working out, and I still am, about 4 to 5 hours a day.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. I'll do 60 to maybe 90 minutes of DDPY yoga per day. That tends to be 2 or 3 sessions, depending on what I'm doing. I'll do 60 to 90 minutes of strength training, circuit style. So not necessarily circuit training, but relatively, I do oppositional weight training. So if I'm doing biceps, during my resting of biceps for the isolation exercise, I'll hit triceps. So I can maximize my time in the gym. Yeah. I still do walking religiously, at least 10,000 steps a day. Walking is one of those phenomenal exercises where here's the science breakdown. I'll send you a video that the doctor behind it breaks it down a lot better than I do, and it's a great watch. But essentially, if you do low impact interval training and you don't hit the stress levels in your body, you won't release cortisol. Cortisol disables the fat burning enzymes in your body, the fat burning process, and it puts your body into stress. And when it's in stress, it says, hey, I don't know when we're going to get fed next because this guy's nuts. Start storing everything now. And instead of burning that fat, you're actually storing it. You eventually, if you're sprinting, if you're doing high impact interval training, you will eventually overcome that hurdle, but not a lot of us can do that. Mm-hmm. One of the positives about the DDPY program is it's based on rehabilitation of the body. Mm. So when you're building out your body, it allowed me, as well as the weight loss, it allowed me to get to the point where I'm putting in 4.5 hours, 5 hours in the gym. And that's not all at once. It's broken up throughout the day because no one's got time for that. I've still got 5 kids. I've still got everything going on. I still work, but to be able to go out there, walk the dog, I'm getting in my 10,000 steps a day. That's part of it. And tracking. The other big part of it is diet. We talked about basal metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is essentially how many calories, and if I'm going off on a tangent here, please shut me out. But your basal metabolic rate is how many calories your body needs to maintain your current weight. Your total daily energy expenditure is essentially your basal metabolic rate plus any exercising that you do. So let's just, because I'm not that bright, say that your basal metabolic rate is 2,000 calories. If you do absolutely no working out and you eat 2,000 calories, your body will maintain the same exact weight.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat in a caloric deficit, you only eat 1,500 calories. It's basic thermogenetics. You cannot gain weight. Now, if it's 1,500 calories worth of ice cream, you can prove that theory wrong. However, if you're eating a balanced diet, clean foods, that's the idea. You hit that 1,500 calories, you're in a 500 calorie deficit. If you're working out 4 to 5 hours a day and you're eating 1,500 calories, you're going to burn 2,000 calories at the gym, approximately 2,000, 2,200 calories. If I do that, I'm upside down. My body can't maintain muscle mass. Part of working out is breaking down muscles. Your body will rebuild those muscles. That's the afterburn effect. As your body's rebuilding those muscles, it's going to rob the storage in your body, okay? It's going to rob the glycogen stores. The glycogen stores are your stored fat. And there's other glycogen stores, but for all intents and purposes, for the point of our discussion, the glycogen stores are your stored fat, your brown fat, the thing that's been on you since high school that you couldn't get rid of. That's what we're targeting. So when we target that, you have to give your body fuel and give it the proper fuel in order to keep your body rebuilding itself well after you're done working out. So that's where you get the rehabilitative workouts, where you're strengthening your body. Your body, once it's strong enough, can do the harder workouts. When you're doing the harder workouts, you've got to put proper fuel in the tank. The diet kicks in. So the diet, I shoot for a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit each day, based not on my basal metabolic rate, but my total daily energy expenditure. So if I had that 2,000 basal metabolic rate, and I work out 2,000 calories, my new rate, think of it as I've got $2,000 to spend every day. I want to be $500 to $1,000 in my pocket at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I can either not eat, which we already said is a bad idea. That's how I started out, and I would be further along in the process if I didn't mess up the first month, 2 months, 3 months doing that. Or I can work out. I can credit the account. Mm-hmm. Every workout is a credit. Mm-hmm. Every step that you take on a track or walking the dog is a credit. So if I add an additional 2,000 to that bank account, I now have 4,000. It's going to be easy I can still eat a ridiculous amount of food, clean food, 3,000, 3,500 calories, and still be in a caloric deficit where my body has to lose weight. Mm. So that's the process. The clean food, my macros split, and macros are your main food sources. Essentially, you've got your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates. A lot of people say, "Oh, carbs are horrible. Carbs are bad." Yeah, sugar is horrible. I cut out sugar from my diet, natural sugars withstanding, and cut out sodium from my diet. I don't add salt. I don't add everything salt-free. For things like shrimp, fish, you're not going to get around the sodium that's in there. But I always try to go lower sodium if I can, salt-free as far as additions. I keep a food diary to track all of this. and I use a free app called MyFitnessPal.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to log everything. It gets a little hairy when you go in and you're sitting at the table with friends and they're like, okay, great, and you're like, hold on, I just gotta log this. A lot of times I'll just take notes or I'll remember what I had. I've been doing this at this point for a year, so I've been finding ways around being that guy who just pulls out his phone. It's like, hold on, I gotta log this. I cut out the craft beer. That was a big hit. I'm still a huge craft beer fan. I have a drink every few months, but that's just from wanting to be in that caloric deficit and not wanting to imbibe the empty calories. I'm off all medications. Thank you.
I imagine you were on high cholesterol medicine too, right? You didn't mention that, but I'm guessing.
No, shockingly, and again, it's like the pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
They would look at my cholesterol and be like, I don't know how you're not dead, but something's working for you here.
Okay.
And
those three usually go together. It's usually high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and high blood pressure. Those are like the horsemen, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there are things that you can do to move that scale slightly, but I found the biggest success in cutting out sugars, cutting out sodium. If you remove added sugar and added sodium from your diet, when you go grocery shopping, you are essentially shopping the perimeter of the store. You walk in, you hit the fresh fruits and the produce. You go along the back where the meats are, you're coming out by dairy. And you save a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, well, I can't eat healthy because I don't have the money. Chicken breast is $1.99 per pound. Chicken is the most, it's the highest yielding protein that you can take that converts the protein during protein synthesis into the body to build muscle. Now, I'm not dirty bulking or walking around and my neck's too big and I can't tie my shoes because now I'm building lean muscle mass. When you're building lean muscle mass, your body has to use fat for fuel. And you can use two sources of fuel for the body. You can use carbohydrates or you can use fat. Fat burns clean. Carbohydrates, there's the residual effect. Anything that is not burnt off at the end of the day, anything that's not burnt fat-wise, your body tends to process it, and you'll see you figure it out from there. The carbohydrates, however, your body stores as fat. So fat does not equal fat. Carbohydrates, dirty carbohydrates, sugars. To give you an idea, my breakfast today was a half a cup of oatmeal, 150 calories, high carbohydrates. If I'm going for a ketosis-based diet, keto diet, I'm already out of my range. However, oatmeal's a phenomenal breakfast food because you should be drinking about a gallon of water a day, constantly hydrating yourself. Mm-hmm. Oatmeal will absorb that throughout the day, making you feel full. Mm-hmm. It's also, it allows your body something to chew on throughout the day. It gives you that long-term energy. It burns clean. Now, yeah, you could load up cup after cup after cup. If you measure out a half a cup of oatmeal, you realize how there's really not that much there. But I'll have a half a cup of oatmeal to season it because not a lot of people like their oatmeal basic. But once you start using food for fuel as opposed to food for a celebratory thing, you get over that real quick because you've eaten so much chicken that it's like, yeah, okay, I'm, sure. At this point.
Yay, chicken.
Right. So I had, and I mixed all this together. I had a breakfast cereal flavored protein mix, which I added into there, as well as a teaspoon of pumpkin spice. So it was this nice fall-friendly pumpkin spice oatmeal. And it came in at 270 calories. Very high carbohydrates. Oh, and I added, it was 370 for breakfast, because I added 170 grams of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. I typically go with the fat, but I ran out. So I had to go with the non-fat, which essentially changes that from 100 calories to 180 calories. But again, fats are good. Fats are what keeps you from snacking. Fats are that energy that's going to carry you throughout the day. And your fats you want to eat midday throughout the day. But that's my typical breakfast. My typical lunch will be chicken breast. I tend to, if the dark meat chicken, because quite frankly it tastes better, is on sale all of the time, I'll pick that up. I'll throw it in. I've got an Oster countertop roaster. I'll throw that in, go back to work, come back in 45 minutes to an hour. It's been cooking down and I'm good to go. I'll have that with leafy greens, so broccoli. So a lot of the diet is geared towards men in this context, because that's the research that I did, quite frankly, because I'm a man. So it's a lot of testosterone-aided food sources. So broccoli is actually a natural testosterone booster.
So that's how you should sell it to kids, right? When you're trying to get them to eat your broccoli, little boys, like, oh, it boosts your testosterone. They're like, yeah.
They did that when I was growing up. If you watched wrestling as a kid, Hulk Hogan was constantly say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and, work out and do all this. So we had influences that pushed it. They just didn't quite do the whole broccoli angle. Of course, it's come out that they weren't just taking their vitamins. They were also doing some other things. Alcoholics and cocaine pretty much fueled that entire industry. I do not recommend any of that. No. Broccoli, yes. Anabolic steroids, not so much. There are a lot of people, though, that look for the quick fix.
Yeah.
My results are atypical.
Yeah.
You don't go from 376 pounds August 2020 to 187 pounds in August 2021. I literally lost half of my weight.
Yeah.
That's very atypical. I've been accused of Photoshop. That was fun. One of the things that I love and about the DDPY, it reminds me, and this is a little inside baseball between Lisa and I, we both come from, the reason we know each other, we come from a community of, it's geared around a particular product and platform that's changed hands so many times. I ultimately not here for that, but we have a core group, and that core group is diehard. They believe in the product, they believe in the functionality, and sometimes against even the vendor that's selling it, they will push the the idea of the product. DDPY is very similar. They have such a phenomenal group, and it's all Facebook driven, and it's not managed by the company, but rather managed by the people. Every once in a while, though, I'll post, because we have face-to-face Fridays, side-by-side Sundays, motivational Mondays, all these type of, grassroots, let's get everybody, let's engage, amazingly supportive. Every once in a while, and it's the exception that proves the rule. You'll get someone that decided that hey, I wanted to check this out. I actually had a woman that was sharing an account with her husband, and he had made phenomenal progress in losing weight. She shared that, but he was looking to take his workouts to the next level. He's a fan of wrestling, decided to check this out. You don't have to be a fan of wrestling. Ultimately, I watched it as a kid, as most kids in the 80s did, but I could not tell you anything right now of what's going on. So you don't have to be into it. But he wound up checking this out. The wife came in, saw my side-by-side photo, which for me to post a topless photo, that is way outside of my comfort zone. I mean, I was married for 20 something years. I'm not into sexting or anything like that. So I'm not used to taking anything like.
Yeah.
So,
IT is a very close on industry.
Oh yeah. Anything you try to cover up, and you often do not turn on the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it fit me great when I was pushing 400 pounds. I was like, great, I can obscure myself. But I posted the side by side, and she said, I don't see loose, flappy skin. You're either hiding that you got surgery, or it's Photoshopped, which I thought was amazingly flattering. Thank you.
Thanks for saying you literally can't believe how much better I look.
Trust me. If I was going to Photoshop this, I would have done a much better job.
And you would have done it years ago.
Right. It would have been my head on like Chris Pratt's body from the Star-Lord when he's they got the red lights and he just looks jacked. Yeah, that would have been me. Different Chris. But to accuse, and we joked about it. I was on another call with the community there, and we joked about it, where it was like, well, thank you, I appreciate that. I don't know what to tell you. I don't. Now, to give you an idea, I walk around in neoprene or sauna suits. So if you look under my shirt, I'm wearing a neoprene sweat vest.
Oh, wow.
Because quite frankly, I don't want to throw one on when I go to work out midday on top of, my daily routine. So I'm wearing that. I'm wearing neoprene shorts right now because I'll take my bike for a 12-mile run at lunch. I'll walk the dog around the neighborhood to probably put in 2,000 steps. I'm going to use that time to burn off as many calories safely as I can. So I pop on a heart rate monitor, link up my app, go for my ride, go for my walk with the dog, and I'm back. And I'm burning calories throughout the day.
Yeah. Let me sorry, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, please.
So it's amazing what you've done. It's extremely impressive. And I'm thinking about that before version of Chris. If you could travel back in time, and let's say we go a little further back to 2019, and you're like, dude, this is all you have to do. Work out 5 hours a day, have 4 craft beers a year instead of 4+ a day, eat for fuel instead of for fun. And it's going to cure your depression, your anxiety, and get you off the pre-diabetic list and off the whatever other kind of high blood pressure meds. I think that you would not like you. very much, and you would tell you all the reasons why that wasn't true and it wouldn't work for you
Well,
and your
the biggest problem,
genetics and your job.
oh yeah, I would come up, well, no, I have to have something that is genetics, thyroid, so, excuse. Now there are legitimate concern that I'm not, for me individually, I've proven that it wasn't my thyroid.
Yeah.
It was my lifestyle. Now,
Yeah.
I had convinced myself that this was it. Living, and you've made posts recently, which were phenomenal.
Thank you.
If you're Absolutely. If you're 40, I'm 42. I'll be turning 43 next month. If you're in your 40s and you're living with that pain, just that constant body ache, the lethargy, you go to do something and you're wiped out, you need a day of recovery because you mowed the lawn, that's indicative of the bigger problem.
Right.
That's not normal. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear the problem is you. The problem is your mentality.
Yeah. We're not doomed to feel like crap in our 40s.
No.
You've just been slowly poisoning yourself and your body is having trouble continuing to repair the damage that you're doing. It's like, have you ever seen That Sugar film?
No.
It's on either Amazon or Netflix. You should check it out. You would love it. But there's this one point, the guy's from Australia, and his girlfriend, I think, is like vegan or I don't know, super healthy. And he was eating like her just because like she was cute. And then he decides that he's going to eat like a typical, yeah, as you do. Decides he's going to start eating the typical Australian diet with all of the processed sugar. And then he comes to America. And to be fair, he probably had some jet lag too. But there's this one point in the movie where he's just like, dude's just like, oh. And I remember that feeling. And I really kind of thought, oh, this must just be what your 40s are like just don't feel great. Like, no, it's, it's the diet and the lifestyle. But again, I think so many of us would have said, like, you work in IT, you don't have 5 hours a day to work out. You work in IT, you don't have time to cook food, right? Like, we believe that what we're telling ourselves is the truth. And it's so hard. So how did you was it just like, honest to God, the desperation of like, I have these 5 kids and I want to live to see them grow up?
It's a great question that you asked. I thought that the machine was broken.
Right.
That no matter what I did, it's really not going to matter. I tried the potato diet. I've tried all these gimmicks. I've tried all these fast things. I've tried, to throw a product out here. I've tried Hydroxycut. No, there's no magic bullet. There's no, even a program like DDPY, yoga. There are people that do it and they don't see results and they get frustrated. And when you talk to those people, you say, okay, well, what's your diet look like? And they're like, yeah, that's where I don't do it. I could be better at my diet because I had, Burger King had a buy one, get one free double Whopper with bacon today. No. Wow. Okay. That's an issue. There's constantly that sense of, I was afraid that it was me.
Secretly.
Oh, absolutely.
Secretly, even probably from yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that fed into the diet, the depression and the anxiety. Your depression's going to tell you that you're going to fail, deserve to fail. You're always going to be that fat guy. So you might as well act like a court jester and, I'm the happy fat guy. Here we go. Someone loved me. That mentality. And It's not, it is you.
Ouch.
You will fail. If I hate to say, you will fail
Yeah.
because you're not making a commitment to the tomorrow version of you.
Oof. Yes.
You're living in your right now. You're remembering the good old days. You're eating what you want to eat, whatever crosses your plate. And there are absolutely times I'm tempted. There are times where I want to sit down. My son brought home donuts. My senior in high school brought home donuts, and I'm like, wow, it's getting to be fall season, and I would have just housed like 6 of those a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I made my oatmeal. Does it taste like the donuts? Absolutely not. Will I crash? If I ate those donuts, I'd have a sugar crash. If I taste anything now with sugar, I can tell. If I go out for coffee, I'll order it black.
Yeah.
And I'll drink the coffee. Starbucks coffee, 16 ounces, I think it's 5 calories. Yeah, I'm that guy now that knows it. There are times I'm just like, oh, really? But if you add sugar to that, well, the sugar comes up, you taste salt, you taste sugar. And it's this clawing, I can't eat any processed foods.
Yeah. Because you've reset your palate, right?
Oh,
like we get so hooked on the processed foods, and they like, we're no match for these food scientists and these big companies. They've figured out, they call it the bliss point. What's the absolute sweetest we can make it to make it the most addictive possible, but without tipping it over the edge to where it's too sweet, and your palate becomes adjusted to that as if that is normal. And then regular food, right? It's like going to Six Flags and then going back to work. Every day is boring compared to Six Flags, but we can't live at Six Flags all the time. And that's the way our diet has been. And literally Six Flags, like the ups and downs. Yeah.
And you feel that crash, you feel that coming down because your body can't maintain that level of sugar fueled energy.
Yeah.
So you get that sugar crash.
Yeah. Because the insulin rushes in to deal with the sugar, and it almost like overdoes it, and then it crashes back out. And it's fast fuel, right?
You've dumped enough insulin into your body that you've completely disabled any fat burning. Not that you would burn any fat, because you've got so much damn sugar in your system that you couldn't possibly burn off. I worked for a company that was an entertainment venue. And I live in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I'll allow you to figure out which entertainment venue I might be talking about.
It's not Disney.
It ain't Disney. Yeah. But they have these ultra decadent, they're like this big, giant mugs. They're diabetes in a cup.
Yeah.
They've got to be probably 4,000, 5,000 calories, because they're like milkshakes, but they've got a whoopie pie hanging out of them.
Oh, good Lord.
They look, beyond decadent. You just look at them, and I hear Wilford Brimley in the background, just yelling.
Diabetes.
Horrible impression. But you see these. That's people are like, oh, I want to go to the park because I want one of those. Our entire diet is geared towards even going out to dinner, even going out to healthy meals at dinner. Sugar is added, because sugar is added into everything. It's added into the sauces. It's added in. One of the biggest, I needed to make food taste good, to activate my palate without sugar and without sodium. So I substituted heat.
Spicy.
Absolutely. Capsaicin is a natural fat burner.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I started with jalapenos, cayenne pepper. I've pushed myself to the point where I go in and there's a local wing place around here that has ghost pepper wings. And I've done their challenge so many times because I just wanted to eat naked wings, but I was like, just throw the pepper sauce on there. I'll account for it in my caloric intake. The first time I did the challenge, it was, okay, you've got to eat 10 wings in 10 minutes and you're only allowed water.
Oof.
Okay, fine. So I ate that. Second time I came back, I got the t-shirt. Every time I came in, I got a smaller size t-shirt. That was fun. I came in, I got an XL. I came back, I did the challenge, and I ordered a large shirt. I'm now wearing medium smalls. A year ago, I was wearing 4X, sometimes 5X.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. So do you think some of what, because I've seen this before in other communities, right? So the financial independence community, it's all about optimizing and hacking and figuring it all out. And I see a lot of software people in that community because they've taken that software mindset of how do I optimize? How do I automate? How do I perfect? And what I do with software, I'm now going to do with my money. And it sounds like you did kind of the same thing with fitness, is that same mindset of how do we automate? How do we perfect? How do we optimize? That same almost like engineering mindset, and applied that to food. So instead of food being entertainment, like emotional support snack, it was, how do I optimize for health? Is that a fair analogy?
Absolutely. Yeah. Biohacking.
Yeah. So this is something that actually, like, that concept is really applicable for people in IT. Like, just take that same IT mindset and apply it to your health and fitness.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. I would joke around that I'm going to write this code. I'm going to write this agent. I'm going to, code this solution. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because it better supports vertical scaling. It allows for customization down the line via configuration. So you don't have to rewrite, you don't have to reinvest. It's very hands-off. I didn't have to deal with the business when the business would evolve and they said, oh, well, we actually need to have it flow this way and not that way. We need it to do this and not that. So yeah, it does that. You just have to do this. Oh, okay, great. We don't have to rewrite the application now. We don't have to rewrite the process because the process itself changed.
Mm-hmm.
Biohacking is the same thing.
So instead of being efficient at eating for pleasure, at, not spending energy, you became very efficient at eating for health and exercising to lose weight or to be healthy. So again, kind of going back to like that moment, because again, this is like, if we went back to 2019, Chris,
I would have thought you were insane. I am pushing 400 pounds. I can't move.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that I'm going to wear mediums and small shirts.
Yeah.
And the mediums are getting a little, big on me now.
Yeah.
I would have thought you were insane.
So it was kind of that. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, it's kind of that hacker mentality. You just switched your focus. It sounds like you also mentioned the community. And I think that's, a good thread between, it's not typical IT, but the IT community that you and I are active in, it's a lot about community. And it sounds like it was a lot about community for this as well. So how did you even convince yourself that this was possible? I guess you didn't. You just kind of started with, I'm just going to go walk and I'm going to eat at a caloric deficit. And then you're like, hang on, there's got to be a more efficient, better way to do this. And you just kept studying.
That was the thing. I joked that that I was fueled by self-hate.
Well, that's not great.
No, it's not.
But I guess whatever works when you're starting, right?
Right. But if you subscribe to people like C.T. Fletcher, who is the Superman of Compton. He's this old school bodybuilder that screams at you the entire time, or David Goggins, who screams obscenities at you the entire time he's trying to motivate you. You see it on the football field a lot of the time, or youth sports, where the coaches, parents that aren't used to, and this is a disgusting thought, but parents that aren't used to coaching will hear coaches scream at kids and say, well, they're coaching them. They're not screaming at them. They're not belittling them. They're coaching. No, it comes from it comes from a place of frustration because they themselves aren't out there doing exactly what they are trying to position these kids to do. Right. Or the kids are not these autonomous little extensions of that coach. So the coach is frustrated, so the coach yells, but that's what coaching is. So it's this vicious, disgusting cycle to where I feel like I have to put on the most aggressive music that I can find. I have to starve myself with the diet.
Yeah. And even if it works, it feels awful. And that makes it unsustainable because you're not going to keep doing something that feels awful.
That's the key. You have to find sustainability is critical. Mm-hmm. That's why fad diets fail. Keto diet. How many people have you talked to that are like, I went on keto, I lost 30 pounds. It was phenomenal. I fit in the dress or I fit in the suit. And then I had a bowl full of ice cream and gained 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, here's the problem. You removed one of the 3 core foods out of your diet.
Right.
That's not sustainable. One of my favorite snacks. Is air popped popcorn. Mm-hmm. That takes any type of ketosis right out the window. Mm-hmm. Because it's technically a carb. Air pop popcorn. Air pop 12 servings of popcorn and eat it until you can't see straight. You might be down 500, 600 calories. Your body's going to process that because it's all dietary fiber. Mm-hmm. It's a whole grain because it's a corn kernel. You could fill a trash bag full of air popcorn and sit there until you have it falling out of your ears and eat it. Or you can have a half a pint, and it's not even a half a pint, it's like a third of a pint of Halo Top ice cream, which is still filled with carbs, but it's the rich cream. It's ice cream, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. And you've got, okay, well, do I eat 6 cups of popcorn or do I eat the Halo Top? You change the game. You say, okay, well, what do I want that's in the Halo Top? Well, I like the cinnamon churro flavor or whatever. Okay, I'll take my air pop popcorn. I bought a olive oil mister, filled it with water, sprayed down the air pop popcorn, took cinnamon, sprinkled the cinnamon on top. And when you remove sugar from your diet, you start tasting food.
Yeah.
Cinnamon is ridiculously sweet. Mm-hmm. So you've added cinnamon, which adds that, like, now you've got this candied popcorn.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's also, you can take sugar-free Jell-O
mm-hmm.
and make a great candied popcorn.
Yeah.
So if you really want to go indulgent and add an additional 40 calories, you can go that way.
I have a friend who works for a network marketing company, and to kind of support her, I bought her protein powder. Mm-hmm. And I have reset my palate to the point where, and it's sweetened with stevia and fruit, but it is so sweet that it's kind of like gross to me.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
cloying.
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
If you have regular sugar, or if they try to sweeten it to the point where it competes with that,
Yeah.
it's disgusting. Once you
Yeah.
reset your palate,
Yeah. And
it,
well, and that's
it's
what I said to her is if I had a client who was like really heavy sugar addicted and really missing that and wanted to substitute, I would be willing to recommend it. But for me personally, now that I've reset my palate, it's too much. So I like it doesn't even taste good to me. So
yeah. And
yeah.
that was the only benefit that I got out of that ridiculous crash diet beginning.
Yeah.
The entire idea behind intermittent fasting, incidentally, is that you create a caloric deficit at the end of the day because you're removing meals and you're removing feed times. Because a lot of people aren't disciplined enough, quite frankly, I wasn't, to say, I'm only going to have so many calories per meal. My goal for meal breakdowns are to have at least 20 grams of protein per meal. And I think my macro goal is 200 grams of protein per day, just because I'm doing the weightlifting, the DDP yoga, I'm building muscle.
Right.
I need that protein for the protein synthesis to occur. There's we could get into. We said 15 minutes. That went right out the window, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hour 4.
We are going to need to kind of wrap up because I know you and I both have other plans for the day. Yeah. But kind of going back, because of course my coaching comes from the mindset perspective. What if you were to go back and like past Chris had to get to a point where he was ready to make the change. And then I think it was an evolution. Your thoughts changed as you went through the process. But how would you get to...
I didn't have a coach.
You did have a coach. Let's talk a little bit about that. Oh, you did not.
That's why
okay.
There were so many stumbles and falls.
Yeah.
It's a really good question.
Yeah. What would be the key message to give to that version of yourself?
If I could go back, if I had a time machine and I can jump back, it's possible.
It's possible. Yeah. Yeah. You're not broken. There's nothing physically wrong with you. It's not your genetics. It's not your thyroid. Yeah. It's just your choices.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's the lifestyle that you're living. If you make the change, if you dedicate the actions today, the lifestyle today, to that future you, you'll manifest that future you. Ooh, it sounds hokey. It sounds big brained. It sounds like, sounds like I've been doing yoga too long, where I'm like, you've got to, manage your chakra and make sure that, no. It is simple mathematics. It is simple biology. You eat less than you burn, you will burn more weight. You do it in a healthy, sustainable way, you can do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Sit there with fads if you try to take shortcuts. If you lose more than 2-3 pounds a week, you're doing it wrong. Now, if you or I needed to lose 10 pounds, it's going to take us some time, because we are now at a point where our bodies are becoming more optimal and they're functioning. The weight can swing left and right. The scale is a lying liar that lies. That's why I go off of measuring tape a lot, or how my clothes fit, or how I feel that day. You'd be retaining water, and then that affects your depression, and then your anxiety ratchets up because I'm up 1.5 pounds today. Oh my goodness, I can't possibly function. No.
You're like, that pizza didn't even weigh 1.5 pounds. What the hell?
Like how from math, like I had, no, it is, in order to be sustainable, in order to affect the change for the rest of your life, you need to be smart. You need to realize that it did not take you, let's say you're 100 pounds overweight. It did not take you overnight to gain 100 pounds. You're not going to lose 100 pounds overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go through gastric bypass, gastric sleeving, you're not making the changes to your habits that are going to make that change a sustainable one.
Mm. Well, and the first thing that they say, if you go in, and I'm not an expert, so tell me if I'm wrong, if you have conflicting information, but from what I've heard, you go in for gastric bypass, you go in for gastric sleeve. The first thing they tell you is you need to lose some weight before you can have the surgery. And it's like, well, if I knew how to lose the weight, I wouldn't be here.
Well, and there are exceptions to this statement, obviously. There are the people that are they're dealing with medical issues that ultimately we're removing. There's a medical issue, there's a undiagnosed issue, there's hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. Mm-hmm. We're removing all of that. Mm-hmm. Let's just say you go to a doctor and you are given a complete bill of health, and they say that the reason that you are 100, 200 pounds overweight is because you went and you ate 4,000 calories yesterday and your basal metabolic rate is 2,000 calories and math is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So armed with that information, and this sounds sexist, but biology, men can lose weight easier than women.
I do believe that.
Specifically fat. Mm-hmm. Women's bodies are designed to hold on to fat stores to facilitate life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Men don't have that. Men don't have to worry about that. Testosterone production elevates fat burning. So the more testosterone I have naturally in my body, the more I'm going to burn fat. It is a disgustingly unfair advantage. Mm-hmm. Because I can do the same thing that you can do, and I will burn more calories. I'll burn more fat. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If we were doing the same exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is possible on either side. And to me, I think a lot of it is what you were saying about that future self is, okay, I'm a woman. I might not drop it as quick as you, but if I'm going to be that future version of myself that's eating for fuel instead of for entertainment or emotional support or, self-medicating or whatever. So if I'm eating for fuel and if I'm exercising for health, right? Because it feels good, because I need, like I do regular yoga and it's a mix of strength and balance, and there's core work and all kind. There's a mental aspect to it too, right? So if I just start living as future healthy Lisa, eventually the scale will reflect that. It might take longer for women. Maybe that's not true, but I kind of think it is. But if you just start living as that future healthy version of you, eventually it will show up in the pictures on the scale. But how you look is almost a lagging indicator, right? It starts with our thoughts, how we feel, what we're doing. And then later, right? So everybody's like, what happened to you, Chris? You're like, I've actually been living like this for a whole year. It's just now you can see it too.
Yeah. That's why it took us an hour. It's not like so I cut out butter and like that. It was great. No, there was so much hit and miss. There are times where, and I'm constantly modifying my diet. Yeah. I'm constantly trying to tweak because my basal metabolic rate changes. Because if the basal metabolic rate that I had when I was 376 pounds, that is how many calories I have to take in order to maintain 376 pounds. Mm-hmm. If I base my workouts off of that number, I wouldn't have to work out.
Yeah.
Because that's 3,000, 4,000 calories in order to maintain that weight.
Yeah.
When you start, and one thing I tell people the first thing, because they're like, I want to get fit. I want to go and I want to work out with weights. Working out with weights itself does not burn as many calories as you'd think it would. 60 minutes of strength training, you might burn 200, 300 calories. Because if you're doing it right, even if you're doing opposing muscle groups and isolation exercises or compound exercises, you have rest intervals in between. Your body's not getting into an aerobic state. So your heart rate will start looking like this because you're up to 130. And then my resting heart rate, if I'm not at the gym, my resting heart rate, if I'm, sitting down or I'm cooking dinner or something, is in the 40s.
So for me,
well, I asked my doctor because there's I'm going to butcher it, but there's a condition when you have a low resting heart rate, brachy something or other, begins with a B. Someone will comment and say he was talking about this. When it's that low, it's bad.
Yeah.
However, if it's exercise induced, you're running at an athletic heart rate.
Right.
And I talked to my doctor and she said, yeah, you're giving yourself a stress test every day. What did you expect?
Yeah.
You're working out for so many hours. You're breaking it up because you have to.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's not being sponsored, who's not running an Instagram influencer network, who's got the time to put 5 hours in all day long. So you break it up. It's about energy expenditure, not I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this, I'm going to bite off this huge chunk.
Yeah. Well, and that's another piece too, is I think, and I don't know if this is true for you, but I never identified as someone who overate because I was always comparing to what I thought other people were eating or what I used to eat as a teenager. And I'm like, oh, I'm not eating too much. And people will tell me stories. And again, I'm not a doctor, so there are certainly maybe exceptions, but people will say things like, oh, my weight was fine. And then I was on this medicine and it shot up. But then the question becomes, okay, let's just say the medicine, because some medicines can make you more likely to cause weight. That's my understanding. Let's just say that's what it was. Let's just give people that. The question is, why are you maintaining it? So if you are overweight now and you are not losing weight, you are overeating now compared to what you personally at this moment in your life need to be healthy, right? So if it's X number of calories that I need for health and I'm 50 pounds overweight and maintaining that, then whatever the difference is between what I need to eat for fuel for health and what I need to eat to maintain that overweight state, that's overeating right there. But I think a lot of times we just don't see it. We're in denial about it.
Well, if there is no greater shock than the first time you actually measure your food. You think, oh, I'm going to get a chicken breast. That's going to be healthy. So a typical bone-in chicken breast.
Yeah.
If you're obviously not eating the bone, so I'm not factoring in the weight of the bone. But if you strip all the chicken off of a bone-in chicken breast, it's about 12 ounces of chicken. 12 ounces of chicken. I'll double check the numbers, but I want to say it's up in the 600 calorie range. Now, if you have a 1800 calorie basal metabolic rate, which I think mine's 1834 right now, based on 187, with a goal to lose 2 pounds per week, because I'm still nuts. I figure, let's see where this can go. What the hell?
At some point, you will need to stop, or you will completely disappear. We don't.
I want to go transparent. I want to.
You're just going to be like a lollipop, just a head on a stick.
Right. There are some really, we call them non-scale victories. And those are victories that, you know, you wind up experiencing these life events, or it's an alternate experience that you would not have had. I wouldn't have had at 376. A few of them I caught myself in the the closed circuit TV post, and I looked, I was like, oh, that's me. Because I've only looked like this for a year, and not even the entire year.
Right, right.
So for me to not track, like, that person there, that's me.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. I liken it to this. A cat has long whiskers, okay? And a cat has whiskers that are the size of its body. They have the whiskers, so when they go into a tight space, if their whiskers hit on either side, they know, hey, I shouldn't go in there because I'm likely to get stuck. I still have my long whiskers. Mm-hmm. When I go shopping for clothing, I am used to going to the big and tall section, looking at the 3 items that match my size, and being relegated to, well, I can wear this shirt, this, or this, and those are my options.
Yeah.
Mine, for 41 years, that was my life.
Yeah.
Only in this past year, I was at the dollar store the other day, and they'd gotten in an entire box of Gildan t-shirts. And I'm like, I could always use t-shirts. Oh, they only have mediums and smalls. Well, that works perfect for me. So I got $5 worth of t-shirts that I'm going to, they're dollar store. Anyone who's worn a Gildan t-shirt, no offense to the brand, but they ain't Hanes. But nonetheless, that world did not exist.
Yeah.
I had to go to specialty shops.
Mm-hmm.
I went and I got a suit. I had a wedding, and I've got some upcoming court appearances, but that sounds horrible. With the divorce and everything. So I needed a suit, because the suit that I was wearing a year plus ago, and it was
like a little kid in his dad's suit, right?
Right? So I went and I put it on for giggles, and I was like, oh no, I will look like a little kid in his dad's suit.
Yeah.
But some of the non-scale victories, I went down a shoe size.
What?
Yeah. I was a 13. I'm now a 12 in shoes.
Huh. I guess we put fat on our feet, huh? I didn't know that.
Not the fat on the feet, but when you have almost 400 pounds pushing down, I think it widens everything out.
Would make sense. Yeah.
You know, and now my arches, I thankfully I never had arch issues. I had ankle issues like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
So walking was difficult. If I mowed the lawn, I would be laid up the next day in pain, unable to put weight on my right ankle. And I was that way from high school.
Yeah.
Now, and you do yoga, if I'm doing Warrior 3, where I'm planting my right leg and reaching out with my left leg up in the air,
yeah,
I'm putting all of my weight on that ankle. But because I built it up,
yeah,
that's why anyone who says negatives about yoga, that it's not a real workout, has never done yoga.
Yeah. And it's a mental workout too, because about halfway through, I'm like, I hate this. Probably shouldn't admit to it. Well, this sucks. Why am I doing it? And I honestly think I would like other workouts. Yeah. I honestly think I would like other workouts better if at the end they let you lay on the floor. Like Zumba, if they just let me lay down for 5 minutes and recover.
It's funny you should say that. And I've never done this, despite doing it for now over a year. DDPY yoga, at the end of the exercises, he'll say, okay, you're a dead man and woman. So you're just you're flat, your head's up in the air, you tuck your chin and you relax. And you can pause the video and stay here for 5-10 minutes, let your body readjust. But we don't have time for that, so I'm going to continue. So you have an option of opting out.
Yeah.
I've never done it. I don't know anyone who has done it.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask. But there are options there.
Yeah. Yeah. And in my mind, that's the mental workout, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm going to lay here and I'm going to focus on my breath. And then you start thinking about what you need to do. You start thinking about how you did this exercise and you didn't like it. Okay, I'm going to come back to my breath. And I think, again, I'm not an expert, but my understanding is that's really how yoga started. It was like, let's get all the wiggles out so we can sit and meditate. And of course, in America.
And moving your body in a way. And it's controlling your breathing through discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
there are a few exercises.
Yeah.
Cool. There's one, and because I don't do traditional yoga, I'll do an exercise like I think it's called Chaturanga, which is so it's a push-up, but you're doing the scoop.
Yeah.
Well, we do that as part of a routine. And you're like 60 minutes into the workout, and he's like, okay, or you could do this modification. You're like, you son of a. And we're using blood flow restriction bands on top of this. We're doing 10-second push-ups. We were doing in the community like nuts. We're doing plank challenges where we're seeing how long we can hold starting position in plank, just for fun, because we're all a little crazy. Yeah, exactly. And it never was I beat so-and-so type of mentality. It's like, I can't believe you did 6 minutes. That's phenomenal. You did 10 minutes? That's amazing. And building people up. But there's that breathing through the discomfort, that breathing through the pain transfers into real world situations.
Yeah. You do that when your boss is yelling at you, or when you're in court with the ex, and
like what's going, I'm going to center myself. Now, if you say I'm going to center myself, you sound like, you've been doing yoga. But yeah, it's kind of, if you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with anxiety, and you get the tools that allow you to deal with stress, to breathe through. When I've been trying to wake my kids up for 45 minutes to get out the door, and they roll over and they go back to sleep, to be able to center myself and not lose it and scream and holler and chase them out the door. Instead, to be, okay, everyone's tired. I wish I could go back to sleep, but I can't.
Somebody's got to be the adult. It looks like it's going to be me.
Someone's got to be the adult around here, and tag I'm it. But it's the breathing through. It's a great tool. Translates everywhere, because you're going to be piled on. You're going to be stressed out. And if you can do what we call wrap and burns, where you're reaching down into a squat, you reach through the back of your leg and then reach around the back, and now you're grabbing while you're upside down, and your right thigh is about to explode because you've been on that thigh in a bent position for about 10 minutes. And people give Diamond Dallas Page hell for this all the time, but he'll start telling stories.
Oh no.
Instead of counting. And you're like, oh, he's just count. He's doing that
To distract.
on purpose.
And I start worrying. I'm like, did the yoga teacher forget that we're in an uncomfortable position? Like,
yeah. I know he or she has been doing this for this long, but I can't feel my toes. What's going on? You eventually get to the point, and I'm certain you have, where I keep adding more and more to it. I started with, I would have to be, pardon the visual, I would have to be practically naked doing the yoga in a closed room because I was just sweating so much. I was getting off of me. Then it was still a workout. I was still rebuilding everything, but I wasn't getting that cardio workout. So right now, Lord help me, I went out and I bought a 20-pound weighted vest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been doing the yoga with 5-pound wrist weights, BF armbands. I already showed you the sauna vest and the sauna shorts or the neoprene pants, depending on, what I'm wearing that day. The wrist weights, the BF armbands, which if you've ever, BFR, okay, we're on hour 4. The short version of this, BF armbands, you're cutting off venous blood flow. You're letting arterial blood flow go. So your body's dumping blood into the muscle and into the arm or the leg, depending on where you put the cuffs. There's a joke that if you put it around your neck, you get a whole body workout, but don't do that. But you cut off the supply to the arm. And you might have picked this up from the cultural zeitgeist of the 80s, but do you remember a wrestler, the Ultimate Warrior?
Not really, yeah.
He was essentially distilled cocaine. He would come out and he wore these strings around his arms, and his arms were just jacked and they were veiny, and he just looked like, and the other aspect of that. But when you do that, your veins start popping and your arms get bigger from the looks of it. And it's because you're dumping blood into the body, or into that body part. It's not allowing the blood to flow back through. And you're creating such a toxic environment that the lactic acid buildup allows you, because essentially when you work out, you're tearing and breaking up muscle.
Right.
And it's the fusing in that muscle. The muscle fuses back stronger. They engorge. They get bigger. There's bicep to building 101, or tricep, or brachialis, or whatever. In order to save the wear and tear on your body, if you can make that environment naturally more toxic, you don't have to lift as heavy. So when I'm using BF armbands, if I'm curling 60s, for example, I can't do that with the BF armband, because after so many reps, you can't put that much blood into the muscle. I can get the same workout if I wasn't using the BF armbands curling 60. I put on the BF armband, I'm curling 30s or 35s, and I'm getting the same workout. The benefit there is I'm not going to tear muscles, ligaments, and tendons because I'm not heaving. I'm using less weight so I can work on my form. So instead of, I'm going to slide back a little, instead of taking the weight and doing this, where I'm wrenching it up, I can sit there, relax, and pull the weight, because I'm pulling 30, 35 pounds. But it feels like 60 because of the toxic environment that's in my arm.
Gotcha.
Now, I don't recommend BF Farm for everybody. You need to get,
don't start here.
or you don't. This
Just
is not
go for a
something that
walk,
you're like,
eat
you know,
some
I'm
broccoli.
376 pounds. Let me tie off my arm and start curling weight.
This is advanced stuff. Yeah.
This is the biohacking that you see. And actually, Chris Hemsworth just released a video on BF armbands.
He's
his trainer for the new Thor movie. And he's also doing a Hulk Hogan biopic. So he had to get huge for that as well.
Yeah.
And he's done it. But a lot of people were saying, well, he's on this and he's on that. And he's like, no, my trainer, and this is what we do. And they did BF armbands for the first time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, you should see the reaction on his face. It's the reaction that everyone has, because you think, okay, I'm going to cut off the circulation of my arm and I'm just going to work out. He was
I didn't mean the workout video. I just meant the new Thor movie. Hopefully he'll take his shirt off.
If I put in the amount of work that he does and there was not multiple shirtless scenes, I would have it in my contract. If I'm working out this hard,
I want to ready to see it.
I'm walking naked through the entire movie.
I'll wear a sock.
It's gonna be me and Mjolnir holding, and that's it.
All right, dude. We gotta call time on
that
this. I don't know if
putting the hammer down, so to speak.
We probably lost everybody, but I'll try to pull out some clips and share those around too. But
the good news is we've got 6 hours worth of video.
Yeah, exactly. This was a great conversation, and it was great to catch up with you. I've been kind of following your progress online, but it's so fascinating to hear about. And my husband was joking. He's like, he's not Chris Toohey anymore. He's like Chris Oney.
I loved that. When I saw that, I was like, that is genius.
So true. You can use that.
Just like
freely recycle all the jokes. So fantastic. So I think what you and I do is fairly different in the sense that I'm more focused on women, not exclusively. You're more focused on guys, probably not exclusively. I'm more focused on the mindset work, right? There's the math and the drama, and it sounds like you're the math and I handle the drama. But my understanding is you are going to be making yourself available to help some folks out down the road. So can you tell us a little bit about what's coming soon there?
Absolutely. So I have as part of the community and putting myself out there, whenever I do a Transformation Tuesday or a Motivational Monday post, or I show my side-by-side, I invariably get the, dude, I need to do that, because we're all Americans and we're all in the same situation where the diet and the exercise has been working against us for so long that we're all carrying more weight. We're all relatively unhealthy as a result. And we need to be healthier. We need to be there for our families. We need to be there for the people that we love. We need to stop being so
better now.
Miserable. Yeah. And people are concerned because, well, just like the food companies want to sell a tastier product, the supplement industry and the exercise industry, you've got people that are photoshopping before and after photos.
Or doing it the other way around, where I've heard stories about where they will pay fit people to let themselves go.
Put on weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just switch the order of the pictures.
Yeah. And I just watched a documentary where it was an expose where they had photographers that said, oh yeah, we shoot the before and after in the same day. We go over, we'll airbrush abs onto them.
Oh.
Yeah. It was disgustingly underhanded.
Yeah.
So I don't take when someone's like, it's CGI. No, it's my best angle. Quite frankly, I'm not going to be like, I liken it to when you turn on Snapchat and you're looking down at your phone and you're like, oh, camera was not supposed to turn on.
Like put up
Nope.
high, put it up
Yeah,
high.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that is if I took my phone and I took the shot from here,
Yeah. Versus from down
everything's
here.
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gravity working against you the whole night. So there are angles. Certainly, there are certain ways you hold your body. There's a reason why bodybuilders hold certain poses. It's because it flexes muscle.
Yeah. But still,
they're not sitting there on stage like,
if before Chris flexed, he might have looked better than unflexed before Chris, but he would not look like after Chris. Like,
let's be honest, there was nothing going on. It was 400 pounds of like chewed bubble gum. It was a bad situation. I can say that, looking back, I look at photos and
it's invisible to us when we're in it, though, right?
Oh,
I don't think we look that bad.
See the couple changes.
Yeah.
And that's why even looking at the scale, that's invest in, if I can leave anybody with anything. Reach out via Twitter, Facebook, Google me. I'm everywhere. I am happy to talk to people. I always preface it with, I'm not an expert. I can only show you what helped me, the mistakes that I've made, the journey that I'm on. I have a few people that are sort of my angel round, people that I'm helping out, some phenomenal, there was one woman who reached out to me, and I suggested that she talk to her doctor based on what we talked about. I suggested that she talk to her doctor about getting on an SSRI because they've helped me in the past. And she was experiencing neuropathy, which is loss of feeling in the extremities, specifically her feet. Not only did the SSRIs help with her depression, but they helped with the neuropathy.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And she was elated. She said, I feel like I can actually do some exercises now. And it's not only the depression that was keeping me back, but the neuropathy. And now that's being addressed as well. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what neuropathy was. I had to ask her what it was. That's how much of a non-expert outside of, even inside of my own world, but outside of my own world. So I always preface it with, I'm not an expert. But I also say that I'm not an expert in the IT field, and I've been doing it for 20 something years. So what makes someone an expert?
I think you just decide. It's a thought, right?
Just fake it to make it.
You're now an expert.
There are,
I just made you
are legitimate certifications. You have a legitimate certification.
Right.
I failed my last IT certification test, so I don't know if I want to go back down that route. But if I can leave anybody with suggestions, it's take inventory of what you eat. We were talking earlier about the American diet and how you were saying that, well, I don't overeat. I just eat. And it is shocking when you start measuring and then you start, if you look at a half a cup of oatmeal,
not a lot of food.
Not a lot.
Yeah. It looks more like topping than a meal.
Oh, absolutely. and when you start looking at the serving sizes, like you'll think non-sticking cooking spray, mm-hmm. or like spray oil, 0 calories for less than a second spray. It's like an 1/8 of a second spray.
Yeah, because that's like a 4/10 of a calorie, and that way they can round and say there's no calories.
They can say technically there's 0 calories.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. I watched a video that exposed all this, and the guy who did the video said, no one just goes,
yeah.
You hold down the hammer on that thing, and you're dumping about a cup of oil in that pan, because you don't want your eggs to stick,
right,
or whatever you're. And
I don't think anybody's getting fat because they did a 1 second spray, but it's a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here and a little bit there. It's the cumulative.
Yes. When your thumb's constantly on the scale.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Realize it.
Yeah.
So instead of a half a cup, you're eating a cup. Instead of one serving, you're really eating 1.5 servings.
Yeah.
But that adds up at the end of the day that you're so far out of any caloric deficit, you're in caloric excess.
Yeah.
That no matter what you do with your workouts, unless you're a nut job like me, that puts in so many thousands of calories working out, then you are not going to be in a caloric deficit. And that's why you're gaining weight.
Yeah.
That's why you're maintaining weight and you've plateaued.
Yeah.
Now, there are natural plateaus, but look at your diet.
Yeah.
I suggest $10, Amazon Prime, food scales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get one that allows you to change. Like, I have a digital food scale. It was a flash sale. I think I got it for under $10, but it's like $10, $12.
Yeah.
It allows me to. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there again. It's the math and the drama, right? We're off on the math, and then we have drama about that, right? Like, okay, what I actually need for fuel is not very much food. And then the drama is, oh, but I don't like to feel hungry, or I'm going to starve to death on that, right? Like it's both. You have to manage both. Yeah. When
you look at fuel, and that's what food is.
Yeah.
It's I want to eat that.
And that's the drama. That's the thought work. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I want to eat.
If I went downstairs right now, I could take healthy snacks and I could go into a caloric surplus on the day just by constantly eating. But air popped popcorn, it's going to take me a while to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sugar-free Jell-O, it's going to take me a while to get there.
Right. Right.
Chicken breast.
You're going to get bored.
Right. Like your jaw is going to hurt before you hit your caloric intake.
Yeah. Nobody ever got fat off celery.
Right. Like and to say, oh, well, I don't like kale. I don't like celery. Okay. Well, I'm not a big fan of synthetic sugars or like alcohol sugars. Mm-hmm. Compare that to sugar though. Take as much alcohol sugar as you want. You go to town, mask the flavor of whatever you need to mask because it's better than.
Yeah.
Diet soda is better for you than sugar soda.
I do think there's something in Diet Coke that one day will be illegal, but that's another conversation. Yeah, Diet Coke people get really serious about their Diet Coke. So, all right, dude, we really have to break up this party. Yeah. It has been lovely to visit with you. If folks can't find you, I am pretty sure, if not, like email me, lisa@lisaduke.net, but I'm pretty sure my Facebook account is public. So you can go find my Facebook, look at my friends, and for sure find Chris that way. Follow his journey, look at his pictures. Good angles, but not photoshopped. Exactly. So thanks you guys for tuning in, and we will see you later. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.